Hello and welcome to In the Word Wednesday. Whether you're watching it at noon or you're watching a replay at 7 o'clock um, p.m. on Wednesday and or whatever day you're watching it. Just want to thank you so much for tuning in, and we pray that all is going well with each and every one of you. Just before I get into the lesson tonight, I would like to send my condolences out to the Jenkins family. Many of you already know that Rockdale County Sheriff's Office lost a deputy, and he will be his celebration of life will be tomorrow at the 11 o'clock hour. So I ask that you would pray for the Jenkins family on tomorrow. Also, like to um, ask you to pray for the Pleasure family. Mr. Pleasure's homegoing celebration will be on Saturday. And then the Harper family, Sister Helen Harper went on to be with the Lord, and her services will be on Saturday. So pray for the Harper family. Also, I want to ask for prayers for the Lord family. Sister Betty will. I'm gonna call her Lord. I can't remember her maiden name, but those of you that know her know who I'm talking about. And so let's keep those people in prayer. And as we go into the Word today, we pray that we will continue to encourage you about the authority of Jesus Christ. And we're on this series of just learning more about the things of Jesus Christ and what He did. So let's get right into the lesson today, and we're going to go back to the book of Mark, Mark 11, chapter 11, verses 12 through 14. And then when you look at the actual text today, it says in verse 12, the next day, as Jesus was leaving Bethany, he was hungry. All right. So let me just point out the fact that in this form of Jesus right now, Jesus is in human form where he gets hungry just like we do. All right. So um, he had a desire, and what that desire was, he wanted something to eat. All right. So he was leaving, the text says, the next day, leaving Bethany, and he was hungry. All right. And so in verse 13, we see where it says, he saw a fig tree in leaf. So he went to the tree to see if it had any figs on it. But he found no figs, only leaves. It was not the season for figs to grow. All right. Now, that's kind of interesting because, first of all, he's hungry and now he is experiencing some disappointment. Um, I was thinking about something that happened to me. I don't know whether the first of the year, it might have been last year, but I had wanted to go to this particular restaurant. It happens to be in Snellville, Stone Mountain, maybe it's Stone Mountain area. And one of the things that they serve is coconut cake. So it was on a Sunday. I remember it was on a Sunday, and I have been thinking all Sunday afternoon. I've been thinking about getting that coconut cake. So because of our schedules, we were not able to get there earlier in the day. So it was late when we went. So when we got there, I had a hard time getting somebody to just, pose. Okay. So I didn't get a chance to get that coconut cake that I had wanted and so forth. So I was disappointed. And I can imagine Jesus was disappointed that he was hungry. And if anybody is hungry and you don't have anything to eat, you will be disappointed as well. And so we look at verse 13. It says the fig tree had no fruit. Um, and to be honest with you, some Christians are like this tree, producing no fruit. Um, we talk a good game. We talk about what who we are and all of that kind of stuff. And but then we discover that many of us, don't have a lot of fruit to bear, and I don't know, for many different given reasons and stuff. So first of all, we saw the desire. Now we look at the disappointment. Let's move on to verse number I think 15. Let's go to 15, verse 15. Um, Jesus returned to Jerusalem and went into the temple. He began to throw out those who were buying and selling things there. He overturned the tables that belonged to the men who were exchanging different kinds of money, and he turned over the benches of the men who were selling doves. Let's just kind of dive into that just for a little for a moment here. Now, when we talk about, in this instance, we talk about the temple. It is important that I share with you that those of us who are Christians, we don't necessarily call our church the temple. We typically, where we have our services, we have it in what is known as the what? Sanctuary. All right. So now, when we look at the structure of the Jewish temple and so forth, the area where Jesus was dealing with throwing over tables and all of this was not equivalent to what we would call our sanctuary. It would have been the outer courts, and so therefore, I guess you would kind of say it would be kind of like on our parking lots or what have you. But here was the deal. People came from different parts of the world, the countries, and so forth, and I'm sure they probably had different denominations when it came to money. So they needed to get it all changed over into a particular currency. All right. So there were people there would take your money and exchange it. I'm not sure about the fee and everything, if there was a fee to exchange the money or what, probably it may or may not have been. That's not really that important, but that's what they were doing. In other words, they were running a business, an exchange business. And then there were people who sold doves. Now, think about it. You had to bring a dove and so forth for a sacrifice. And so you wouldn't maybe, bring them for a long distance, because I don't know how far, the farthest person who came had to travel, but you would wait until you got there in order to buy a dove to make the sacrifice. Okay, I know this is not a real good example, but it's the thing that comes to me right off the top of my head right here. But when you think about when you go to a game, if you go to some sports like a basketball game or a football game or a baseball game and so forth, they don't allow you to bring your own food and stuff in there. I know some of y'all slip it in maybe, but typically they don't allow you to do that. So in other words, you are at the mercy, if you get hungry, you are at the mercy of the vendors and concession stands that are in those places. So that's what happened. I remember several years ago, I think it might have been around 1986. I decided to be a good father. I decided to be a great father. And I took my 3 children to Disney World by myself. Co-pastor Gene didn't go, my mother didn't go, my dad didn't go. Took them. And I guess maybe at that time, my son Al Jr. might have been, let's see, maybe 14 years old, if he was that old, and Felicia may have been about 11, and Eddie would have probably been, I don't know, 9 maybe. But anyway, here's the deal. Before we get ready to go to Disney World in Orlando, I tell them, look, we're not going to eat at this park. We're going to wait till we leave, because I know that the prices are going to be high and what have you. And so I explained that to them. They shook their heads and they understood what I was saying. Well, we get in the park, we ride a few things, and guess what? Who's the first person to get hungry? Not the children, not Al, not Felicia, not Eddie, but it was War, me. I was the first person. So the rule that I had, I guess maybe, technically, um, I might have been okay because I told them, if they got hungry, but I got hungry. But anyway, I ended up spending money in the park and what have you. Okay, so when we look at this, Jesus goes to the temple and he's disturbed by what he sees. Okay, um, so after that, we believe that what is happening here, he leaves the temple and he goes back where we see that he, sees this fig tree. All right, let's just put it that way. And the tree is cursed. That's what happened. So Jesus cursed the fig tree, and he says that that tree will not bear any fruit. All right. Now, something I've said earlier that you may be concerned about in looking at this particular text, which is we're dealing with the curse. Why did he curse the fig tree in the first place? Because we just read in the text where it says that it was not the time of figs. It was not the time of figs. So now, why is the fig tree getting blamed when it was not time to produce any fruit? Okay, let me give you another example here. Let's suppose that you're taking a test and they tell you you got 2 hours to take the test. Okay, if you finish early, that's fine, but you have a maximum of 2 hours to take the test. What if they come and tell you at an hour and 15 minutes into the test that you got to turn your papers in? All of you would be upset because you would have thought that I've got another 45 minutes or so left that I can take this test because you told me that I could have 2 hours to take the test. All right. So you would seem to think that that was unfair. But what we find in further study of looking at the fig tree had leaves on it, and so the leaves represented the fact that it had produced some fruit in that part of the country. So, in other words, it gave the impression, it gave the indication, it was perpetrating, it was acting as if though it had fruit on it. And when Jesus got close to the tree, it showed that it had nothing but leaves on it. Okay, now I want to compare that just for a moment because there's another story about a fig tree where the owner of the garden had gone to the fig tree for 3 years and it had not produced any fruit. And the gardener told the owner of the garden, give me 1 more year. And if it doesn't bear fruit, you can cut it down and say I would. Now, why, y'all, would this particular tree get a grace period and the other fig tree did not? Well, I think the answer is pretty simple here, my brothers and sisters. Um, one tree was pretending that it was producing. The other tree wasn't pretending at all. It just didn't have no evidence to try to show that it was being produced. So, what does that say to all of us that are believers in Jesus Christ? We need to understand that we shouldn't be pretending with who we are. All right. Um, Sometimes I will admit, all of us who are in the body of Christ, we mess up. Yeah, we mess up, and we do things that we shouldn't do. Uh, we say things, we curse, we act, and we do a lot of things, and that's why I'm so glad that Jesus came and died for all of our sin. Portion of the text, Mark chapter 11. was pretending to be something that it was not. The other day, and I will not say where I was and who the person that I'm about just talk about, but um, we were at this gathering, and I asked for other pastors in the Rockdale community to come and stand with me while I prayed. And so when I finished praying, this particular individual said to me, I wanted to come up there with you guys, but somebody stopped me. Well, the person that wanted to come up is not a pastor, uh, but he was just, kind of messing with me about, coming standing with the pastors. So there are times when, people who are supposed to be sheep will put on wolf's clothing. I'm not calling this person no wolf now, y'all. Please understand, because he was just joking with me and messing with me because that's what he does to me all the time. So I knew that he was just kidding and everything. So, but anyway, what I'm trying to say is that we need to be who we are. And I know there are some times that we don't act according to how we should be. But I think this text tells us today that we need to be understanding that when we are around unchurched non believers, we need to act according to how we should act in terms of being Christ like. Okay. Now, I know there are times when you might do something or say something and people will say, well, I can't believe you did that because you go to church. Okay. Well, I believe the church is nothing more than a hospital. I believe that it's a hospital for those who are sick. And all of us who are in the body of Christ have some ailments every once in a while. We may not be able to say that we need to be hospitalized, but every once in a while we really need to go to the emergency room. Now y'all know now that they've got this thing that's called urgent care, and so I guess the church is more like the urgent care because sometimes they can't get to you at the emergency room and so forth, and you but the urgent care, they usually can see you within a reasonable amount of time. So sometimes our care we need is urgent. That's why we go to church every week if we can. If we can't, we trying to be online, like those of you that are online right now, so you can hear a word from the Lord that it can make you better than what you are. So when in the text, y'all, we had about three different points we talked about. We talked about the desire. Jesus desired food. He was hungry. The second thing we saw in here, we saw the disappointment. Jesus found nothing but leaves. All right. And then there was the denouncement where he cursed the fig tree. So there's the three D's. And I didn't just plan it like that, but that's a 3D effect: desire, disappointment, and this denouncement. In other words, he cursed that tree and said that you won't bear any more fruit. None of us want to be denounced. We don't want Jesus to say, I can't use you anymore. Well, I've run out of time, my brothers and sisters, and but I have not run out of message. We thank you so much for tuning in, and I want you to understand that we are back in person here at 3150 Highway 20 South, Conyers, Georgia. We would love to have you a part of our in-person service if you so desire. We'll do everything that we possibly can to make sure that you're safe. Yes, you still have to wear a mask. That is one of the requirements um, that we ask of you if you come. But if you don't, you can tune in for our virtual service at 10:30 on Sunday morning. we will be just as happy for you to be a part of that as well. So we thank you so much for tuning in today. And as we like to say all the time, we like to say, welcome to your first day of your new beginning. Okay. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord show you his kindness. May he have mercy on you. And may the Lord watch over you and give you peace. We love you here at Church of New Beginning. Thank you so much for tuning in every time that we're on. We thank you. We appreciate you. We love you. And there is nothing that you can do about it.